Alrighty. Hello everyone, welcome to the Fire Artisan channel. I'm Drew, and today we are playing some historic Simic Flash. I'm really excited to show you this deck. I know it's been a while since I posted a video. I'm sorry for the break, but I'm excited to get back. So yeah, let's talk about this deck. It's very much inspired by Seth Manfield's Simic Flash build. I guess this was probably maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago at this point. He played it in the then standard. People were playing Simic Flash before his build, of course, but he had the innovation of adding growth spirals. Ooh, let's move the Krasis actually. He added growth spirals and Paradise Druids in order to just ramp up to these key 4-mana spells in Frilled Mystic and Nightpack Ambusher. I've made some kind of further innovations. He was playing with 2 copies of Hydroid Krasis. I'm just playing with 1. I think he was playing with 4 Nissas, and I'm only playing with 3. So I have kind of slimmed down this deck a little bit, which, in my experience, playing with it in Historic, obviously a very different metagame than what was going on in Standard at the time. I think it just needs to be a little bit slimmer. We've got a lot of 2-mana counterspells, as well as some 2-mana, I'm not really sure what you call them, I guess proactive spells in Growth Spiral. That's obviously more of a ramping spell, but Omen of the Sea is a great sort of information spell, resource spell. So obviously the idea is we're always holding up mana. What this deck can do, if it's kind of operating ideally, is Growth Spiral on 2. Obviously just holding up counter magic, just preventing the opponent from landing a key card. But on the play, Growth Spiral on 2, something like a Nightpack Ambusher or a Frilled Mystic on 3, and then hopefully an early Nissa untap something like a Breeding Pool and still have up what have you. Could be a Disruption, Essence Scatter, one of the 2-mana counter spells, and then you really have the game locked down from there. So that's the idea. So yeah, I'm not sure. There's not too much more to talk about. Let me talk about the sideboard real quick. We've got 3 copies of Grafdigger's Cage. You just kind of need that in Historic. It's great against Goblins. It's really great against any deck that's doing something that's just unfair and that is hard to interact with. We've got some additional counter magic. I'm always kind of changing this sideboard as I go, but you'll see, I guess I'm pretty low on the gusts right now. I think I'm going to change that right now, actually. Let's go with 2 of them. Kind of need that interaction for some of these aggressive decks. One kind of sideboard plan I have, especially against certain creature decks, is to bring in the Uros and make this just more of a fully Simic ramping deck. So just due to the mid-rangey nature of this deck, we can easily kind of shift into more of a ramp-based strategy or more of a very low curve counter magic strategy. We've got 2 Narsets, which is important hate against the ramp mirror, basically. The ramp mirror is a really interesting matchup for us. If it's going well, we can kind of ramp alongside them and prevent them from landing their stuff. If it's not going well, then they basically have more cards and more resources than we do. So it can be hard for us to keep up if they get ahead. All right, let's do it. I'm going to jump into a best of 3 game here. I've been having, I guess, success-wise, I think this deck, I guess I wanted to start off with it after the break because I feel like this is probably the deck that I generally have the most success with. Like, if there were a tournament tomorrow, I would probably... And I had to bring a deck that wasn't you know, very established in the metagame, then I think I would choose this deck. I mean, would I play something like Goblins or whatever, something more established in a competitive setting above this deck? Probably. But I mean, you do get a big advantage bringing something that isn't really being played, obviously, just in the sense that, all right, here we go. No one's expecting it, so they don't know. Even if they obviously early on just understand the general strategy, they're probably not going to understand. They're probably not going to know exactly, obviously, what cards you're playing with. Whereas in a Goblins deck, you pretty much know their entire list as soon as they play a 1-drop. All right, well, this is the ideal start that I was talking about. So I'm confident so far. It's funny to rewatch these videos sometimes because I'll just be making mistakes all the time. Mostly because I'm talking like while I'm playing, but also just sometimes because, you know, it happens. All right, I've got 3 of these ambushers, so yeah, this is kind of interesting. I think I'm going to send one of these out. Okay. So our opponent has played no spells so far. All right, here's a cast out. And we miss our land for the turn. I don't think there's any reason to panic about that. I might just cast the Chemister's Insight here. Wow, censored. Okay. We're still fine. I think this is the kind of matchup that we generally want. Good to know that our opponent is playing with sensors. I'm not sure how patient we want to be here. Because we could just wait. I think it makes sense to wait a turn. We can get rid of the Essence Scatter, hit another land, and then have negate backup for playing one of these ambushers. That seems better. Of course, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah. I thought this was like negate backup for Nissa for a second, but we don't have that, so we're not going to do that. All right, a 3/3 shark. That's a pretty big shark. I'm usually not that worried about it if it's a 2/2 or obviously a 1/1, but yeah, that's a relatively big shark. All right, yeah, we really want this one to work out for us. All right, we got it. Yeah, we don't. Actually, we do have an answer if they do another shark. So I'm going to do this attack. All right. Ambusher beats 3/3 shark, so we're definitely ahead so far. We have a lot of counter magic. I think we're in a pretty strong position. If you do try this deck in the... All right, here's a Wrath of God. I'm trying to think of what to do about this. I think I'm just going to negate this and see if I can get another ambusher down here just to try to finish this one up. All right, we're going to see an absorb. They are completely tapped out. This is kind of awkward. I think it's the disruption now on the absorb, and then we just play the Nissa next turn for additional pressure. Should have this one locked up now. I love this play when you're ahead and you just kind of... And then you play the Nissa. It doesn't feel as good to obviously play the Nissa when you're behind. But this is a nice aggressive Nissa. All right. Yeah. Well, I'm excited that that's how the first game went. That is exactly how this deck is supposed to operate. So we are feeling great going into game 2. Okay, so I think we'd want the Mystical Disputes. Trying to think of how good the Narset would be. I don't know how good she would be. We want the negates. Okay. I'm used to the other view while I'm sideboarding, so I'm going to go ahead and switch that. I don't think the Brazen Borrowers are particularly good here. They usually tend to be better against the creature decks, obviously. Yeah, I think this is about where I want to be. I'm just deciding if I want to bring the Uros in. I don't think I do. Okay. Actually, I don't think the Essence Scatters are going to be very useful, so let's go ahead and bring at least one Uro in. Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. If the Uro seems like it would be good, then we can bring the rest in. I'm going to go ahead and say that Azorius Control is not really a great matchup, but it's also definitely not the worst matchup. I think the best matchup for this deck is probably one of those Paradox Engine decks where everything they have is like 4 or 5 mana, and there's almost no way for them to interact with your general counter magic strategy. So I think, or really any deck like that, even a creature deck. Sometimes you see these Gruul creature decks that are playing almost mostly like 4 and 5 cross creatures, or just a lot of 3-drops, right? Too many 3-drops, not a very low curve. That's really where our deck can shine. Is just exploiting a greedy mana base, basically. Okay, I mean, we're almost where we want to be right now. Need one more green for that Ambusher. And right now, obviously, still pretty much completely neutral on the board. It's funny how much of a difference it makes between a 1/1 shark and a 2/2 shark even. Yeah, I think I'm going to get rid of both these sensors. I want to find another green source. There it is. Interesting question here as to whether we want to play the Uro. 1, 2, 3, 4. I wonder if we do play the Uro here. No. I think I'm going to wait on the Uro, actually. Because we're going to have a lot of options. If they don't do anything this turn. We can scry. We can play an ambusher. I think we just want to wait on the Uro. I'm glad we drew it, though. That's huge. Drawing the Uro is huge. All right. I mean, we have Mystical Dispute back up on the ambusher, so I think it's reasonable to go for it here. Especially since we have another one in hand. Okay. We're going to get a commit, which we can dispute. This is huge. This is huge. It's so easy to just kind of let your guard down and just play something on your main phase when you have a... I think this one we quench. Shame we didn't get a land. But, I mean, this is kind of it. Like, you cannot let the ambusher continue to just ravage your life total. It really only takes a couple of turns for you to be in a pretty dire position. They've also missed a land drop or two at this point, so this should do it. I mean, this should just really do it. There may be a case for just playing with 4 disruptions. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. That card is awesome. That I could have also just played it as a land there is just amazing, really. So that'll do it. All right, so this... I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe given their specific card choices in this deck, it was a pretty good matchup. I'm not sure how many Mystical Disputes or Dovin's Vetoes or things like that they had access to. They obviously struggled a lot with mana in that final game. And possibly even in that first game, now that I'm thinking back on it. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Remember to subscribe if you haven't. And be on the lookout for more videos. I'm going to try to keep posting these daily like I was before. So, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm mostly going to do historic right now, so be on the lookout for that. But if you want to see some stuff in standard, then just leave a comment and I'll do it. But I feel like I have some fun historic brews to show you, so that's probably what it's going to be for the most part right now. All right, so take care. Thank you for watching. See ya.